Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the first episode of the USIC Podcast. My name is Zahraa and I'm a third year medic and I'm the media officer for USIC this year.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, I'm Umamah, I'm a second year medic, not currently part of USIC but I like to help out a lot.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Ammar, I'm a first year actually, PPE student, politics, philosophy, economics. I'm somewhat on the committee as well, I think, so see how that goes.
So today our topic of discussion is what we wish we knew before we started uni. So to start off with, Umamah, would you like to begin?
I guess to start off with, it's really important to set your intentions, whether that's to do with like your studies or even just starting your day. It's just really helpful to have like a moment where you sit down and like ground yourself, and it can be a lot easier to plan your day out, and then especially in terms of like making Allah part of your day, and just getting that extra barakah in all of your actions. I find that to be very helpful.
I think it's also important to remember that like doing the same action can get you different rewards depending on what your intention is. So me drinking a glass of water, for example, as the example used yesterday, is a very permissible act. But having the intention of, I'm going to nourish my body in a halal way and therefore be able to worship Allah better, that glass of water now that you drank is able to get you more barakah and more rewards just simply by the intention. So having the intentions grounded is really important because it can get you more benefits and barakah for something that you were going to do anyways. So.
Yeah. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about the importance of organization and keeping on top of things. So, for example, as a medic, we have a lot of different things going on at one time. Like, for example, we'll have placement, and then we could be working on an essay or something simultaneously and have lectures on top of that. So I think it's really important to have a sort of way of planning it out, whether it be a diary, a journal, in your calendar, like in your notes app. Or so what I did in my first year, I had post-it notes that I put on my wall. So I put it out like Monday to Friday, and then I could swap the post-it notes in between. I'd just write stuff on them, plan my days, and that was a really good way of keeping track, because if there's a lot of things going on, even if it's like social things as well, trying to make sure you have time for everybody and yourself, it's a nice way to visually see what's going on.
I love Notion for like organizing and planning stuff. I think Notion's amazing. So it's good for like notes obviously as well, but you just need a way to visualize what you're doing. Otherwise it can be so easy to get like overwhelmed with everything that you have on. Yeah. And it's not like at school where you're told like, you have a timetable and you're here and here and here at this time and this time and that time. So you have to do it all yourself. So it can get a little bit overwhelming to keep up with things, but definitely I love having a diary and to-do lists. Yeah. So
I think also the visual of like to-do list, like you tick it off, or like so
satisfying.
In my post-it note example, when I physically could take off a post-it note saying I've completed this task, I think that really helped to motivate me as well, because it was a physical. I'm now removing this from my to-do list. I have now I feel a bit more accomplished in stuff that I've done.
And that feeling of like motivation and accomplishment is very important to like keep going on to like the next thing that you need to be doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's quite difficult because like once you slip up, it becomes like a positive feedback cycle. Like you miss out on one lecture and suddenly you feel a bit stressed, and you try and get on top of it, but you realize going back and watching lectures online is much more boring than actually going face to face. So it becomes a struggle to even catch up with that, and then you've got other things going on as well, so it's just like it just gets worse and worse. Then you find out
snowball effect.
Suddenly you find out you're like 3 weeks behind on lectures and you got like 7 weeks of reading to do and all that stuff. So I'd say keep that as a priority. I'm not speaking from experience, obviously. That would never
Of course not.
Yeah,
we are very on top of our work.
especially the first year. I think I've heard this before from a lot of people telling me like the main thing is balancing your time, and cannot agree with that more.
Yeah. But it's really hard to like figure out how to do that, especially in like the first semester of your first year, like what things need to be prioritized. So, but it takes time. So it's okay to slip up, I think, because you will at the end of the day. But the main thing is knowing that it's not going to be forever, and you will pick yourself up eventually. So it's not like the end of the world if you'll fall behind, but you'll hopefully, inshallah, catch up. So I think it's just having that mindset of it's not going to be the end of the world if I mess up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it will get harder as well. So don't keep yourself in like a state of being behind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, something else on like organising is something that I find really helpful is like planning my day around my salah. So then that's like another way of sort of breaking down my day. And I love doing that. So I'm like, okay, at this time I'll have this. So then between like say Zohar and Asr, I'll go to the library or, see a friend or go to the cafe or something. And it's like another way to sort of break down your day.
Kind of like checkpoints.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
No, I think that also helps, especially during exam season. Salah is a great break to have.
Yeah.
It really, like...
Just go cry in the prayer room of the libraries.
Yeah.
Not scaring me or the other first years.
That's the part that, like, it's really nice. I think there's a lot of community when it comes to Salah. Like, we all know this. And especially when you're really stressed, if you go to the prayer rooms, and that will lead to our next point of knowing where the prayer rooms are.
Oh, yeah.
So when I first came to uni, I knew there were prayer rooms in the libraries, but I didn't know where all of them were. So it took me ages before I studied at the IC. Even I used to go to the Diamond, so I was a regular at the Diamond. So I knew where the Diamond prayer room was, but I was really nervous to go anywhere else.
It's a little bit daunting. I don't know why, because now I've started going regular, and it's not that big of a deal. But in the beginning, it's just like, I have to go find it, and going there, and there's like loads of people maybe, and just a little bit scary. But once you figure it out, I think it's nice.
I think you can, like from my experience anyways, you can ask a lot of the brothers who are more experienced to kind of tell you where they are. Normally there's videos as well on the Instagram page, I think, on the highlights.
On the Instagram and the YouTube, there are videos showing you where to get to the prayer rooms.
Shows the Diamond, was it Firth Court, sorry. The SU and probably more that I'm forgetting, I just don't visit them. I just don't visit very often.
And Hallamshire Hospital.
Sorry, I'm just not a medic, so. And I think you can also make sure that normally there's like pictures with like links to a WhatsApp group chat, you can for like congregation prayer, because anyone can just message, I'm praying Asr in 5 minutes in the Diamond, for example. And someone can see the message, they're the Diamond, okay, I'll go join them in a few minutes, I'll go close my stuff, and suddenly you get 27 times the rewards. So you can have that. I think there's like stuck up on a few of the prayer rooms, so we might try and get it more out there for congregation prayer.
I think that's also that's also a nice way of like keeping you on top of your prayers as well.
It's like a reminder.
As well.
Like when you do it with other people. And then it's a nice break from like studies as well, isn't it? Like you can see people for a little bit and just have that community together. It's very nice, actually.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a bit daunting as well when you just realize you saw like Dhuhr at in 5 minutes here, and then like a couple hours later you're like praying Maghrib in the same place. It's like wait, I just spent this entire time in this building. It's just a bit of a reality check, but it's a good reality check. It's like I've been studying for a while.
Yeah, like checkpoints, like you said earlier. It's nice. Yeah. But also in winter, it's just like that. It's just
back to back.
You're like, where did the day go?
After like 15 hours of like after Isha.
We can do Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, one wudu.
Favorite season of the year.
I think it's also a good idea to keep maybe a travel prayer mat with you. So in case you have like maybe 2 back-to-back lectures, and if the time is short, for example, like Asr prayer, you might not have like the most time for it. Usually there's a seminar room free, or there'll be like an empty corridor, you can just like pop out, and nobody minds. It's really, like, people have seen me pray before, I've seen other people pray before, like in random corridors, and it's really chill, and everyone's quite nice.
You're actually the reason I got like a travel prayer mat.
Really?
I didn't have one before, and I was like, that's such a good idea. Like, it never occurred to me before.
Aww.
But now it's just like one of those like staples that I have in my bag. Yeah, it's great.
So just use my coat if I have to.
Yeah,
you can.
Well, you can use anything as long as it's clean.
Yeah. And I don't know, I like having something that I'm like, okay, I use this for prayers, and it kind of gets me into the mindset, or like the zone of, okay, this is my time to pray, and just forget about everything else. Because if you have a very busy day, it's very easy to just like, praying becomes part of like a routine. It's not like just praying and you're done with it, isn't it? It's like you're sitting there, you're having a conversation with Allah. So if you're just like rushing between lectures, it can be very easy to sort of forget that. So I like having something that reminds me, like, okay, this is my time to just forget about everything else and just sit here and I'm just talking to Allah, and this is me and my time. So that it puts me in the zone a little bit, which is nice. But yeah, that was like a really nice tip that I got from you.
Oh,
So yeah.
I really took that so sweet. That's really sweet.
But yeah, moving on from that, I guess talking about USIC or your ISOC, you know. So it's really, really important to join your ISOC. I feel like it made such a big difference for me personally when I came to uni.
Same.
'Cause first year I didn't do that many things with USIC because first year was obviously all online for us. So then second year is when I started getting more involved, and it's just so nice to have like that community, and you have like that way of making friends with like more like-minded people, and there are so many opportunities for like education and for socializing. Yeah, it's a really, very good opportunity.
I think USIC introduced me to a lot of good people
Yeah.
as well, especially during like COVID, my first year, like our first year. It was super isolating.
Yeah.
So I think it was during Ramadan they had some iftars over Zoom, and they had occasional meetings over Zoom.
Yeah.
And that's where I met some people for the first time, and it was like, it was just really nice.
Yeah.
And everybody is very, very friendly.
So friendly. Yeah.
And you just support each other and bring each other closer to Allah. And it's just, it kind of keeps you on your deen, because being involved in all of these things, you can't attend all of these and not say that it's either changed your character or done something for you in some way. Just being around people who appreciate the religion, I suppose, how that we say.
Yeah, and I guess, and like put it first, because I feel like in this society it can be really easy to sort of get lost in non-religious things. So it's, if you're surrounding yourself with more Muslims and things, then it's a lot easier to like work on your deen, or like how you have like the group chat with the, like, oh, let's go pray in the IC prayer room. Then it just reminds you to keep on top of things, and I think that's really, really important. Like your company, I think is really important when you come to uni, and ISOC is a big part where you can find like really nice people to hang out with.
The hadith saying, you know, a person's on the deen of his friend.
Yeah.
So let each person look at who their friend is.
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's got people from like all walks of life, and they're all like, it's more welcoming than I expected actually. I expected it to be quite good. I thought it would be very nice, very friendly, and it's even more than that, which actually kind of surprised me. There's opportunities to get involved, there's opportunities to not get involved if you don't want to. You know, there's events that's going on, there's sports, there's everything, you know, so...
USIC does a lot.
Yeah.
USIC does a lot.
Very active, mashallah.
It's been really, really good.
Alhamdulillah. There's stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
And you don't have to attend everything. You can like pick and choose.
We're not asking you to go out on the streets and do like da'wah, like it's fine, you can do whatever you want, you know.
Can if you want to.
You can if you want to, we encouraged it, but it's like, it's up to you how much you want to go into it. But I feel like what you said is, once you start doing it, then it does change your mindset a lot.
Yeah.
So, because I was on the committee last year, and I remember like how good it was just to be around like these people, and you just see how like genuine they are. And like the MGM that I went to like a few days ago, it was so nice to see like the effort that everyone puts in for each other and like for the Ummah. It's very beautiful.
And for the sake of Allah.
Yeah, for the sake of Allah. It is very beautiful. It just makes you feel good. So that's definitely top tip. Join your ISOC.
Joining ISOC really helps like solidify your social circle, and you know, people are going to this being too nervous and people are thinking like, oh, you know, they're gonna judge me for saying this and that. And honestly, just in my experience, it's like 95% of the times, if you even just go up to someone and make conversation out of nowhere, most people will just go along with it, because most people aren't the kind of judgmental people. Most people aren't. They're in the same boat as you as well, of being first years. Even if not first years, they were first years at some point. So I think it's a very non-awkward way. It's a very chill way to kind of introduce yourself and make new friends. Just going up to people, having conversations with them.
Yeah, I think it's also important to like keep an open mind when you're meeting new people, when you start making friends. When I started uni, I was very much antisocial, kind of. I was very, very nervous talking to new people. But what kind of helped me to put myself out there a little bit more was thinking in my head, it's going to be awkward now, but it's not going to be awkward in 2 weeks. And that is the only reason I have some of the friends that I have now. The person I'm living with, I literally live with this person. That is what I thought that was going to happen. So I met her, And I was like, oh, this is the most awkward conversation I've ever had in my life. I'm probably never going to see this girl again. 3 years later, I'm living with her. So it's just, yeah.
Unpredictable.
It's really unpredictable. You never know.
But it's like trust the process, like you said, because there are so many different types of people at uni, which is like one of the nice things about uni, especially if you come from a place that isn't as like diverse or as big. Like in my case, there was not that much diversity, so it's nice to come to uni. It's like, wow, there are like so many different kinds of people. So it's really nice just to, you know, you can take your time to like find out what kind of friendship groups you know, want to be in, or what societies you want to sort of join. And yeah, it is just sort of trusting the process, but also like don't put too much pressure on yourself, because everyone is in the same boat, like you said. So if you feel nervous, then most people probably will be, because everyone wants to make new friends. So it's not that deep. You know, it might feel like it is, but it isn't. And even if you don't make friends in like the first like couple of weeks of like freshers, there's so many opportunities. Like I'm still making new friends, and it's like my 3rd year of uni. And it's like, oh, you don't have just that one sort of slot of time to make friends, and after that, that's it. You can't make friends after that. So I think that's really important to realise as well. But yeah, just not putting too much pressure on yourself about, you know, having to make friends and socialise and getting involved in everything in one go. So.
Yeah. And it's quality over quantity.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's also really important to like stay on top of the hobbies that you're really into, both before and also picking up any new like hobbies, any sports, anything like that. Because it'd be a very dull and mundane life. It is just like uni home. And maybe like friends, obviously they do spice life up there sometimes, but like you need something to kind of keep your mind, like you need another interest, more like passion, stuff like that.
No, that is really important, and whether that's on your own or with societies, either way, that's really, really good. Because you do need that break. Otherwise, you will go crazy and then you'll get burnt out, and that's just not the vibe that we're going for. So yeah, I think it's super important. Especially a lot of societies out there, so it's really important to like explore the different things that you can do. I love those give it a go sessions that they do in the first few weeks.
Really nice.
Those are really fun. So yeah, that's always a good opportunity. You can always try 1 or 2 things. If you don't like it, then that's fine. You can try something else. But and that's a really good way to make friends as well. Like just trying out new societies or new hobbies, or to give it a go sessions. Yeah, it's a really good way to keep on top of the social aspect of things.
I think following on from that, to like reduce burnout, I think it's just like looking after yourself. Like it's super important that like from uni there's so many different stresses on you, whether it be actual uni work, whether it be being part of a committee, even just general societies, attending things and stuff like that, and any other issues that you may have. It's important to like take some time for yourself to de-stress, to make sure that you don't get too overwhelmed, because once you become overwhelmed and you burn out, then you become really unproductive, and that makes you feel even worse. Kind of like positive feedback, it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's an awful cycle, and it really takes a toll on your mental health as well.
This kind of links in with time management as well, of like, don't sleep 3 hours a night for like a week or something like that, you know, and not only is it not productive because your work will also go down because you're not sleeping much, but also Islamically you should take care of your body, you should give it its rights. And it's all about time management, because, well, I say that from my perspective of having someone who could use his time management well, like better, but it's not like you're utilizing the 24 hours a day, you know? It's not like you're not spending a good amount on YouTube and Instagram and chatting with friends and all that stuff. Like you could cut things out that you don't need. But then again, I do have friends who are basically like engineering students, so like they literally have like 24/7 schedules. So maybe maybe you guys should be the one saying that, not me. Because if it comes from like a politics student, they'll riot compared to medicine.
No, it's a valid point. No matter what you do, it's just it is important to have that balance. Like this life and what we have is like a blessing, and we have to take care of it, isn't it? So, yeah, 3 hours of sleep. It's not recommended. No. And it's never worth it, even if you think it is. Like you've got to do some really important thing for the next day. It's never worth it.
If anything, it makes it worse.
It does make it so much worse. Yeah.
Just get your time, get your work done 2 days earlier, maybe. Just like start off a bit earlier.
And I know that's easier said than done.
It's very much
It's
easier
easier
than
said
done.
than done.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hypocrite saying that as well. I literally leave my
Yeah,
things.
but I feel it's one of those struggles that most uni students probably go through.
Yeah.
You know, the last minute deadline struggles and
You have to learn it the hard way.
yeah, a bit, but that's every student ever, I feel like. So, like, once you realise, like, yeah, you can't do that, then you start taking your health more seriously.
Yeah.
I had to learn the hard way, I think, for me personally, to go through, like, all-nighters and be like, no, I can't do that anymore. So, yeah. But some mental health is important, obviously.
Yeah. I think physical health as well, in the sense of, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this body for us to use. At the end of the day, it's not ours.
Yeah.
We have to take good care of
Yeah.
it, no matter how hard it might be, and that instant noodles 5 times a week is looking very enticing, and it's very easy and quick to do. I think it's just a matter of, I think it is a bit of time management, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. Because it's very easy to be like, oh, I don't have time to, I don't know, make food or, you know, or, I don't know, get to bed on time. But
Yeah.
realistically, you do. It's just sort of figuring out your day a bit better.
And eating and drinking is worship.
Yes.
With the correct intentions.
With the correct intentions.
Which like ties
Nice.
into
Yeah.
our next points.
But like physical and mental health is like very interconnected, isn't
Oh,
it?
100%.
So it's not
If
one
is
or
lacking,
the other. Yeah.
If one is lacking, the other one will.
Yeah. So it's
Exercise and endorphins, you know, don't forget that. Like that kind of links into the hobbies as well. You know, if you can pick up a sport or you go with friends and do some stuff, maybe go to the gym. Or there's a lot of societies in the university that can kind of like get you engaged. And the same thing what you said with like the give it a go sessions, seeing if you actually like the sport. If you like it, there's also, if you want to take it more seriously, there's clubs around Sheffield. There's a lot for people to do, and it's very important to kind of prioritize your physical health as well, because that has a direct impact on your mental health, both like diet and exercise wise.
I think one thing to remember is, although it's really, really difficult to ask for help, obviously it's a lot easier said than done. But realizing that maybe you need external help. Like there is a lot that your friends can do, and there's a lot that your family and people around you can do. But if you are struggling, to go to the appropriate resources and facilities available.
No, it's not like a shameful thing or embarrassing to ask someone else for help, and sometimes having that external sort of outsider's perspective can be really helpful. But yeah, there's a lot of people to ask for help. So like, if you're part of USIC, then obviously have like the committee members or anyone in the group chat. Everyone is super friendly. Like I've had a lot of support from anyone that
Welfare officers as
ever
well.
asked. Yeah, welfare officers.
So our welfare officers this year are Fatima and Umar, and they're really lovely people, and you can chat to them, can get in contact with them, as well as any other of the committee members. I'm sure we're all happy to help if you're ever stressed and things like that.
And even just like, if you don't want to ask like a specific person, just putting a question in the group chat, so many people reply. It's really nice, like everyone just replies to you. And it's just knowing that you have that support. But yeah, and if not through USIC, then there are university things that you can access, which can be a little bit trickier to access at times. But it's definitely worth it if you feel like the situation that you're in is impacting your life, like in a significant way. Then it's really important to recognise that. But this is just sort of like an added point, I think, to remember, is that the only one of the main one that we can rely on is Allah at the end of the day. So as much as we have like friends or family or like university services, we have to remember that Allah is the one who's always going to be there for us, like without a doubt, no matter what time of day it is or what's been happening in your life. And that is the connection that we should always fall back on and rely upon. And it can be really reassuring to have that, so you know that, no matter what's gone wrong, you have that to sort of fall back on. And
Reassurance.
yeah, it's very reassuring.
The rock to rely on.
Yeah, it's never going to go anywhere, isn't it? Because everything else in life can be quite temporary. But that's never temporary. It's always there. So,
like it's a sense of security as well.
Yeah.
And your 5 daily prayers as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tried to find like 3 Muslim roommates before going to uni, and that's based off the group chat. And I found 3, because my flat I was going for was 4 people total, so it's me and 3 others. And I found 3, one of which kind of went on board quite quickly. The two of which were like thinking like, I might do it, I might not, and they ended up not going through with it. So it was just, which was a bit disappointing with originally what I thought. But then like I kind of went through with it, and I realized even having that one Muslim roommate went from the idea of like the Muslim to non-Muslim ratio in the flat was 1-3 to 1-1, you know, having 1 and 3, then 2 and 2. So having one extra really did change the ratio, and kind of meant like, my roommates were lovely, so like it's not like you know, we had an issue with like halal food or anything like that, or like, you know, cross-contamination. But if there was an issue, just in my mind, it was kind of thinking like, okay, at least I have equal numbers of Muslims and non-Muslims. It's not great to think of it in like us versus them, but like in worst case scenarios, you know, if it really push comes to shove and you're thinking these people aren't respecting the boundaries, at least it's like, you know,
You're not alone.
I'm not like 1 against 3 people who are doing these things. It's like me and another guy against one another guy. It also helps with like making sure it's like a all guys flat.
Yeah.
No, I think it helps to have. I don't have any Muslim. I've never had any Muslim roommates, but it helps to have at least someone who's understanding, or someone you live close by. Like how we live very close. It's nice to have that connection. So yeah, it's just like someone who can understand you on like a deeper level than like non-Muslims or other people can. So I think that is important to have that sort of connection.
Yeah, it also helps to make Ramadan a bit less lonely. This is my first year living with a Muslim flatmate, but beforehand, she'd invite me over for iftar and things like that. But on the days that I wasn't invited over, I'd just find myself like eating iftar by myself in my room.
It's a little bit lonely.
It does get a bit lonely because it's not the regular meal times that people would just like. Because my house before, we were all very close, so we'd all eat together at similar times, and we'd do a lot of things together. But during Ramadan, obviously, we're breaking fast at 9:30 or something like that. That's not really a regular meal time, so I would just end up spending.
At like crack of dawn in the morning, and no one's awake. You're trying to be really, really quiet. It can get very lonely.
I'm really looking forward to this Ramadan, having
That's nice,
having a Muslim flatmate.
I know. I remember my first iftar at uni. It's very different because you're away from home and you don't have that family sort of connection. So it can get lonely. But one thing that I really liked last year was the USIC iftar.
Yeah, those are so
those
nice.
are so nice. Like those are lovely. So you go and obviously you meet with other sisters, and it's just like nice food and just having that social time. It's so important.
Another thing that I found quite useful was making the most of my commute to classes and to my placement. So my placement was a 30-minute bus ride away, and I'd start doing I'd do things that remembrance of Allah. So for example, I'd do some dhikr. I would maybe listen to an Islamic podcast, for example. The Digital Sisterhood, not sponsored, but I would recommend it.
Not on the bus, maybe.
Yeah. That was actually... maybe that's not the best one for the bus because it's quite emotional and I almost started crying one time. But it is a very good podcast and I would definitely recommend it.
There are quite a lot of other podcasts as well, I would say.
There's loads.
Yeah, I can't think of any on the top of my head, but there are quite a few that I think are really, really good.
Yeah.
I got recommended last week by one of the brothers a series by Noormahomed Khan, who basically, I think he kind of specializes in Quran and tafsir and all that, I think. But he has a series where he kind of delves into every single ayah of every single surah in the Quran. And he talks, it's not like a one-off thing as well. He's got many videos about many surahs, and he recaps there's some of them are literally 15 minutes on Surah Al-Baqarah, 20 minutes on Surah Al-Baqarah. Some of them are 5 minutes on one verse. He's got different series. So I think him in particular, there's the channel guiding directions. That's for the individual ayahs, and also just for general overview. You can probably just type in Noormahomed Khan, Surah Yasin, Surah Al-Imran, stuff like that. So I think it's really it's a massive eye opener when you think of just how strange the literature of the Quran is and describing it. It's actually amazing. I love it.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, but that can be really nice for if you just want to start getting into sort of tafsir and stuff. You want to get the overview. That sounds like a really good way to start. And then once you start doing the overview, you can get more into depth with it.
Different levels of intensity.
But definitely, I think the commute thing is a really good way to find that time to do dhikr or take that time out for Allah, because if you're busy then you can kind of forget, but that is time that you have where you're not really doing anything else, you're just waiting to get from one place to another. I love just putting the Quran on and just listening to that. I think that's just, it's a nice break.
And there's so much benefit to listening to the Quran
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Like, just like spiritually, like the difference between listening to Quran and like listening to music or something. Like, you can feel it.
Yeah, it's just very good for just relaxing in general.
Yeah.
But it just reminds you of where you are and
Yeah.
who you are as a person. And obviously the remembrance of Allah is important in every aspect of our lives anyway, so
And it's a good way to start the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should do them more often, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. I feel like if you start your day off on that good note, then it's easier to keep that good note kind of continuing on in the day. So then even if something bad does happen or, you know, something stressful happens, it's easy to sort of pick yourself up again if you have started it on that good note.
And now to finish the episode, the Prophet ﷺ used to like to finish his halaqah with Surah Al-Asr. So, Ammar, if you would like to.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and we hope to see you next time.
السلام عليكم.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.